Good morning, everybody. It is Matt Modi here with OddsJam, aka Jedi Modi on my social medias, TikTok and Twitter, as you can see here in this video, giving you my best NBA player props for today, Friday, January 13th. A little bit ominous that we have a Friday the 13th going on today. Hopefully that doesn't mean that we're all going to lose all of our bets. We will see, but regardless, giving you my favorite NBA player props using OddsJam, hopping on the positive EV page to find these player prop bets. Pretty cool using OddsJam, using the positive EV page. You can filter specifically for the market you're trying to bet, which in this case are NBA player props. So I filter for NBA, I filter for player prop, and here we have it. A bunch of mathematically profitable NBA player props for us to bet. So right off the bat, a common question I get is, do you just bet every single play on the positive EV page? The answer to that is no. There are some plays, I should say I only bet on plays that are truly outliers when you look across the entire betting landscape. So there are certain plays that I don't bet, I don't think are good enough outliers, essentially. And I'll explain all that, but I do just want to get that right off the bat. So the first play that we're going to go ahead and lock in here, Alperen Sengun under 8.5 rebounds. You can lock this in at BetRivers. Unfortunately, they have me heavily limited, but for those of you who are not heavily limited, you can hit this at BetRivers at plus 100 odds. OddsJam prices the no big line of this to be at about minus 106. No big odds. OddsJam perfect line, the true line of what a market should be priced at. All different ways of describing these odds you see in this column here. It's for every positive EV play. So let me explain that a little bit, because that's kind of why positive expected value betting is so valuable, why it's such a profitable betting thing for you to do is to bet positive EV. So looking at the screen here, right, I pulled up, all I did was just click into this play, right? If you just click, pulls up all these odds. You see a wide range of pricing between the sports books for this play, right? We see odds range from plus 100 up to minus 129 to minus 120. It's a 29 to 30 cent difference between all of the sports books. So just off of that, seeing that big of a gap for the same exact play, he's either going to go over or under 8.5 rebounds, right? There's no other scenario here. With that in mind, that there's such a big gap between sports books, one of them has to be right, one of them has to be wrong, right? You can't have a gap that big between numbers and have both of them be an accurate reflection of the market. It would be like if two different stock exchanges had Apple stock at 300, one of them had Apple stock at 200. Both of those numbers can't be an actual and realistic valuation, accurate valuation of Apple stock. It just doesn't make sense. It's too far apart. It's the same thing with sports betting. So with that in mind, that for this play, one's right and one's wrong, some sports books historically are more right than others. Some are historically sharper than others. Just like there are some reputable stock exchanges that you trust, there are some reputable sports books that are historically better than others. So what OddsJam did with that knowledge was test thousands and thousands of previous betting opportunities to determine what sports books are the sharpest. So it's not like, hey, I read that these two sports books are the sharpest, so we're going to use them. No, it's using data, it's using math, historical data to determine what sports books are the sharpest. Once that determination had been made, they remove the VIG, which is the juice that sports books price odds, from those sharp sports books using a weighted average. Spits out the numbers you see here in the no VIG odds. So kind of to sum everything up in kind of one whole thing, OddsJam tested what sportsbooks are consistently the best at pricing odds, uses them to set the market for future betting opportunities, and then scans lines from all major sportsbooks in all major markets to provide you betting opportunities where you're getting better odds than what the OddsJam perfect line is. So the gap between these two numbers is your positive expected value. Should be priced at minus 106, essentially minus 105.5. BetRivers offers it at plus 100. That's value. This is play number one. Alperen Sengun under 8.5 rebounds, plus 100 at BetRivers. Play number two. And I know that these are the plays that we are betting because they're bolded with the blue rectangle around it. So I do get some questions about how do I know which one I'm betting. It's literally bolded and outlined. That's why this is bolded and outlined, basically saying, hey, bet me, bet me. So this next play, second play of the day, Keldon Johnson under 30.5 points, rebounds, assists, plus 100 at BetRivers. OddsJam perfect line prices this at about minus 104.5. So a little bit lower than the minus 105. Still a positive, still a profitable gap between these two numbers. So then what you want to do, and I didn't explain this in the previous one, I mentioned looking at the markets and identifying an outlier, right? So what you want to do, again, if you just click into a play, it pulls up where every major sports book is pricing odds for this play. What you want to do is compare the bet you are placing to the rest of the sports book. So in this case, Keldon Johnson under 30.5 is this play right here. Now you want to compare where every other sportsbook prices it. So plus 100 is pretty easy. It's 50-50. If you place 1,000 bets at plus 100 odds and you win exactly half, you break even. If you win more than half, you profit. Pretty easy to understand. Well, look at how majority of sportsbooks price it. They favor Keldon Johnson going under, right? PointsBet has his under at minus 120. His over at minus 110. Caesars favors the under. Bet365, DraftKings. And then these last two are the most important ones. So when you're betting on player props, you want to look at the sharp sports books. Pinnacle has this under at minus 124, the over at minus 107, favoring the under pretty heavily. BetOnline, same thing. Under at minus 120, over at minus 108, heavily favoring this under. We're getting it at plus 100. This is a very, very valuable bet because we're getting it for pretty much even money. And every single sportsbook, except for it looks like Ballybet, has this under as the favored outcome. And that's what we're looking for when we're looking for outliers. We're looking for how does my bet compare to every other sportsbook, and is it an outlier compared to every other sportsbook? If yes, that means it's a good bet. And you also want to compare to the sharp ones, Pinnacle, BetOnline. This bet checks off every box, which is why it's a hit. Play number two, Keldon Johnson under 30.5 points, rebounds, assists, plus 100 odds at BetRivers. Next up, we're looking at Markelle Fultz to go over 4.5 rebounds. So this is the play at plus 128. I know it's the play because it's bolded with the blue outline around it. The OddsJam perfect line prices this at about just below plus 124. So there's the gap between these two numbers. There's your profitability. And then let's compare BetRivers to the markets, right? Do this for every single play. Pinnacle, plus 104. BetOnline, plus 107. DraftKings is another pretty sharp one. Not as good as these two, Pinnacle and BetOnline. Still pretty good. Has it at plus 110. There are really only two sportsbooks that priced it even kind of close to the BetRivers line. Ballybet at plus 115. FanDuel at plus 116. Still a pretty decent gap on this BetRivers line at plus 128. So this is another really good bet. This is my third play. Markelle Fultz over 4.5 rebounds, plus 128 odds. Next up, so the Steph Curry one, I'm skipping because I didn't think it was a good enough outlier compared to the market. So this one I'm not playing. This next one I am. Quentin Grimes over 3.5 rebounds, plus 125 at PointsBet. Another book that has me heavily limited on player props. But look at this plus 125 compared to every other book. So FanDuel's closer at plus 118. It's the only one. It's the only book that's closer. We see odds range from plus 102, plus 107 to plus 105, with the sharp book Pinnacle at plus 105, sharp book BetOnline at plus 107. Clear outlier, very good price here, getting Quentin Grimes to go over 3.5 rebounds, plus 125 at PointsBet. This is my fourth bet for this video. Next up, we got Keldon Johnson under 23.5 points, minus 104 odds at BetRivers. Another insane outlier when you compare the BetRivers line to every other sportsbook, with Pinnacle having this at minus 124. And I guess I should say you can ignore these three, Monkey Knife Fight, Underdog, and Prize Picks, because they're DFS companies, so they have the same odds for every single play. They don't price anything differently. So Pinnacle at minus 124, BetOnline at minus 122, DraftKings at minus 125, and every other sportsbook is in the minus 120s. No other sportsbook has it below minus 120, and we're getting it at minus 104. It's a really good price here. This is play number 5. Play number 6, and I believe my second to last one, Draymond Green under 0.5 player made threes. So doesn't hit a three-pointer basically. Minus 105 at Bet Rivers. And I'll go through these last two quick. You just want to compare the markets. Pinnacle, excuse me, minus 127. BetOnline, minus 122. DraftKings, minus 125. There are two in the teens, but still 10 to 13 cents higher than the Bet Rivers line. Pretty good price here. Played number 6. And then the last one, Paolo Banchero over 1.5 player made three-pointers, so 2 or more threes, plus 123 at Bet Rivers. Look across the board. So FanDuel's closer at plus 122. Also still positive EV. If you don't have Bet Rivers, but you do have FanDuel, positive EV there. Every other sportsbook, plus 102, plus 106, plus 100. Really good price. So 7 player props for you guys to lock in for today. More volume equals better if you have an edge. In this case, we do have an edge. So the more volume that you bet, the less chance of variance you have happen to you, because you're just increasing your portfolio of profitable bets. So if you're worried about how much money you're betting, then I would say lower unit size per bet. To bet more bets, to have more volume of bets is a good thing. So volume equals good. But that's going to be it for this video. So I appreciate everybody watching. Again, if you want to find me on social media, you can at Jedi Modi. Enjoy the NBA slate tonight. Thanks for watching and have a good one.